My name is Seth Stedman, and I am the owner and artist of Disturbing Denizens, and I paint miniatures. Miniatures are used for wargaming, which is kind of started around the 80s, and it's basically you reenact fantasy or historical battles through miniatures on a tabletop. I've been painting miniatures for 6 years. I liked to paint, so I started to paint on cards, and there was actually demand for people who wanted altered art. Mike Reynolds, who owns Cooper's Cave, was like, hey, you should paint miniatures. A group of friends of mine are going to a convention, and they're bringing their armies to play in the tournament, and they want a display board so they can set up all their armies. So there's 4 armies on the team, and I've got these removable panels, so each one will have an army and then a centerpiece. So the idea is, like, before the tournament starts, they'll have like a judging. There's actually a whole judging section where they're like, hey, did you bring a display board? Did you bring, a painted army? And they'll have their armies set up on the board. So the reason why a lot of this is flat is because there's going to be like 20 plus models on each of these sections. And I made some things removable because, for multiple reasons. One, they might have to put a big model there. 2, if they accidentally hit it, it'll just break off instead of snapping the plastic. So there's a lot of function in these two because it's display purposes. So there's going to be maybe like 100 plus models on this when it's done. So I can't have giant mountains. I would like to. But when I'm doing a diorama, I want a scene. I want an event that's going on. So I guess I do start with a story in mind or some kind of at least emotional theme. Dioramas, I have a lot more freedom to do that on than an army. I mean, sometimes people want them painted to like the lore, because there is actually stories behind a lot of these games and armies and such. So sometimes I'm really constricted, depending on what it is, but when I'm just doing something, I just want to go nuts, and I like bright colors a lot, so I tend to go with bright colors and try to tell a story, although it's getting easier, but it was hard at first because it seems like you just plop something down and you're trying to work with it. Unless I really do a lot of converting, I'm dealing with a miniature, so I'm kind of limited in pose sometimes, and it's kind of a challenge to take something that's pre-posed and cut it apart and put an arm somewhere or put something else somewhere else, and figuring out how to make it not what it started out to be. I like to just convert, and this is like 6 models-ish. So like it starts off as just parts, and then you just take just kind of go with it. He's a little spider inquisitor guy. It's a term in the game. He's actually a faction. But I cut off the upper torso and put that on, and then there's a hand and little camera things. And he's kind of a monster. So basically they'll take a pair of clippers, and you clip the pieces out of the sprue, which is this little framework here. And over time you'll collect a lot of parts doing this, which you can use to make creepy things. But usually there'll be assembly instructions, or if you're converting, feel free to use them as kindling. And yeah, you just put the model together, and that's how you start. There's a lot of cleanup. Like there'll be little parts of the sprue and excess plastic. You have to clip that off. You have to file it down. I'd say there's at least 30 minutes of cleanup to get it to look. Because if you don't clean it up, when you paint it, all those flaws will be really visible. You can see the little bit of plastic right here, and you actually have to file all that down to keep the contours of the blade. Otherwise, when you paint that, it'll be very obvious. I'm trying to like break into different art with miniatures. Like, I kind of want to branch that fine art, hobby art thing. A big misconception is it's just paint by numbers. Not so much directly to me, but I do get the feeling that I'm sometimes not an artist. And that hurts. You know, I work past that. I enjoy it, and it looks beautiful. And I've got so many friends who just, you know, they've paid me for commissions, or they've seen my work, and you can't get that much positive feedback from people and not feel really good about it. So I feel it is art, and I feel that the more I do, the more it will be accepted.